What is the point of this commission?
It's a fraud. It's a fraud. It should be shut down. Every American should be calling for this religious liberty to be completely shut down. What is anti-Semitism? And I brought up the IHRA definition, which is deeply concerning as a Christian, that certain parts of the Bible are considered anti-Semitic speech. And I read the verses in the Bible that says the Jews killed Jesus. So if someone says that, what are you gonna do? Arrest them? Put them in jail? I mean, where does this lead to, you guys? This is very dangerous. This is serious. They wanted to talk about Israel over 17 times. I'm like, is this a Israel commission? Is this a Zionist commission? What's going on here? This is so fake. This is so pretend. Why are we hearing about Israel over and over and over again? It's nauseating. It's getting so old, because what they said on that stage is that if you're not a Zionist, you're an anti-Semite. You're a hateful bigot. We don't believe that Israel today has anything to do with Israel of the Bible, okay? Christianity has been hijacked by evangelical Christian Zionists, and it's time we take Christianity back. And they're mad that I dared to speak out against Israel because that's their religion. You can't speak out against Israel. And I am here. I ripped the Band-Aid off. I exposed the elephant in the room. It needed to be done. And it took a 38-year-old mom out of California to do it. So shame on everybody that was on that stage that day that the president appointed to uphold religious freedom. And they decided to keep their mouths shut to protect their businesses, protect their corporations, and to protect their access to the president. And like I said, I would rather die. I would rather die than worship Israel.
Dispensationalism is why Jesus says, "Depart from me, I never knew you."
As you know, I'm a Catholic, and Catholics do not embrace Zionism, just so you know. So are all Catholics anti-Semites, according to you?
Hear the booing? And most of them are the brainwashed Christian Zionists, the dispensationalists, and they're gonna say they're a Christian? No, you're not a Christian. You're a fake wannabe Christian that doesn't understand the new covenant.
As I said, anti-Zionism, by denying the right of the Jews to have their own state while not saying the same for any other peoples, that is a double standard, hypocrisy, and anti-Semitism.
So just to be clear, are Catholics anti-Semites because they don't?
Carrie, excuse me, I'm going to interrupt.
Well, of course she got interrupted because she was making too much sense. You know, when someone makes too much sense, they got to be shut down, censored, or interrupted. This kind of stuff happens to me all the time, okay?
The fiery woman that you just watched in that video is Carrie Prejean, who has since been fired.
So she got fired just for saying that Catholics do not stand with Zionism. And tell me our freaking politics in America ain't in bed with the great harlot, aka Jerusalem, which is Israel. We are totally compromised, you guys. The government is the beast system, totally.
I give you a lot of credit for being willing to speak out the way that you spoke out during that discussion. It does seem like, you know, when it comes to the topic of religious liberty, one particular religion seems to enjoy that liberty more than others, and that was perfectly illustrated in the exchanges that you had. But I want to start off by kind of getting a better understanding of how you got involved in this commission in the first place.
That's a great question. So I've known the president for almost 20 years now. I was Miss California, went to Miss USA.
Now, isn't it weird that she's known Trump for like 20 years and she was Miss California and Miss USA? Isn't Erika Kirk also a Miss something or another?
Yeah, and I'm Miss Conspiracy 2026.
I mean, don't y'all find that strange? All these people who know each other, don't you find that strange that all these people, these elitists, they all know each other?
I'm sure everybody remembers the famous question that I received. Do I believe in gay marriage? No, I don't. Went on to be, one of the conservative darlings on the right. And so the president and I remained friends over the years. I supported him relentlessly. And so now, fast forward, that was 2009, fast forward to 2024. And, he wins the election. And then I get a call from the White House one day saying, hey, Carrie, we see that you're a new Catholic and we would love for you to serve on the Religious Liberty Commission.
See, nobody just gets a call like that. No one just gets a random call from the president. Hey, you want to be on this religious liberty organization? You know what I mean? Like, you don't see the president calling any random American person. And, those beauty pageant queens, they come from these weird cult-like initiated groups. So this stuff is all planned out and interconnected, y'all, just like the quote-unquote experts are picked. That's how they filter and sift through people in colleges via the GPA.
The president has appointed you. So this was a appointment by the president, and only the president has the power to remove me.
Sorry about my son. I don't know what to do. I'm going to do my best not to have him in the video, but I can't guarantee it. Shh. Mommy's doing a video. But don't you guys, this is what I've learned. You can't trust these people, okay? Yeah, it's cool she said what she said. Honestly, I would have said a whole lot more. But you can't trust these people, okay? They set up controlled opposition that you can trust, that you think speaking on our behalf as we the people, because they're not stupid. The government, they see that the majority of Americans don't like Israel anymore, or that we're on to them. So they're going to set up people that we think we can trust. Y'all got to remember that. For real. And you also got to take in consideration, she's known him for 20 years. She was Miss Whatever. She's part of the left-right paradigm, which is keeping us divided. Anyone who's into politics is sucked into the left-right paradigm. So you guys got to keep all that in mind.
I think they thought I was just this dumb blonde bimbo, out in California that was a pageant girl that wasn't catechized well in my Catholic faith, recent convert. Oh, she'll just shut up and obey and she'll just go along with it to, be close to the president and have access. But you know what? My faith and my integrity means more to me than having access to the White House and fancy dinners.
Good for her for saying that. Gotta give credit where credit's due, right?
I gotta say, I'm a little bit astounded by your faith in Donald Trump. Okay, you've known him for multiple decades, so obviously you know him on a personal level way better than I ever will. But at the same time, he hasn't stepped up to defend you at all. And in fact, his actions in his second term show me that he is willing to carry water for Zionists over pretty much anyone else. But maybe I'm misreading it. What are your thoughts?
It's because he's compromised. They're all compromised, but Trump is really compromised. He's done bankruptcy how many times? He was in debt to pretty much the Rothschilds. Think about it. Zionists got him out of all kinds of money issues. So there's that, right? And then he's a brainwashed dispensationalist himself. If it's true that he converted to Judaism, which I think I had in one of my videos, but I'm not even sure if that really happened. He could have just been kissing Israel's ass like everyone else does by going to that wall with a kippah or whatever the hell that little hat's called on. But I read that he's a brainwashed dispensationalist. So, which is not a Christian. That's not a Christian. It's a false doctrine. It's a cult, really. They don't understand the new covenant at all. It's like, you can't, how are you a Christian if you don't understand the new covenant? I don't know. It just doesn't make any sense to me. But I've never been a dispensationalist because I didn't trust, honestly, like, I just was like, I need to read the Bible for myself. Okay, so that's what I did, and I'm glad I did, but something didn't sit right with me with parts of what some Christians were saying, this worship of the Jews in Israel, and them saying that the Jews are God's chosen people when they were the ones who had Jesus crucified. You know what I mean? Like, that doesn't make any sense. How could someone who hates Jesus so much be God's chosen person? I mean, logic goes out the window with them, you guys, because it's a cult. It's a brainwashed cult, like any other cult is. The Satanists aren't even as bad as them. Seriously, because they're so deceptive. Think about it. Satanists don't even talk about Jesus like the Jews do. The Jews say Jesus is in hell burning and his mother's a whore. Satanists don't even say that. I mean, let's get real.
I have been told that he is getting tremendous pressure from Zionists, Christian Zionists in particular. Let me just tell everybody, it's not the Jews, it's not the Muslims who are attacking me, it's Christian Zionists. Those are the ones who are attacking me. They're mad that I converted to Catholicism, and they're mad that I dared to speak out against Israel, because that's their religion. You can't speak out against Israel. And I am here. I ripped the Band-Aid off. I exposed the elephant in the room. It needed to be done. And it took a 38-year-old mom out of California to do it. So shame on everybody that was on that stage that day that the president appointed to uphold religious freedom. And they decided to keep their mouths shut to protect their businesses, protect their corporations, and to protect their access to the president.
You go, girl. But at the same time, I feel like there's this agenda to get people to convert to Catholicism, because Catholicism is coming off like, oh, we're the real Christians. You know what? Yes, it's a Mickey Mouse ear, baby. They're coming off like we're the real Christians, and Catholicism is a counterfeit Christianity. Yes, there's a lot of Catholics that may have their doctrine right, but Catholicism is paganism mixed with Christianity. And it stems back to Constantine when he merged both of them. I need to do a video on this because a lot of people just don't get it. It's a false religion. It's as bad. It's just like dispensationalism's a false interpretation. It's a false religion too. Really, just like Islam, like they're false religions. Okay? But I feel like there's this agenda, like with Candace Owens converting to Catholicism, or this lady being a Catholic, where it's having Christians or other people think, oh, well, if I want to follow the true Christian path, it's got people confused, and they're thinking, oh, they got to be Catholic to really be following Jesus or something. And that's not true. I saw a guy's comment where this guy was like, I'm confused because if Catholics stand up against Zionism and they're not for Zionism, because she was speaking for Catholics, right? I hate when people do that because one person can't speak for a whole group. Like, who the are you, right? But anyway, but he was confused. He's like, but other people are saying that the Vatican is for Zionism or has something to do with Zionism. Yes, the Vatican's in bed with the Zionists too. There's a whole, oh man. Michael Hoffman wrote a book about that. I'll put it up on the screen and expose some of it. But Michael Hoffman wrote a book exactly about Zionism in bed with Catholicism. Y'all need to check that out. But she's pretty much speaking for herself. And like I said, I don't trust any of these people. I believe most of them, if not all of them, are controlled opposition. Okay? They're going to have people out there that sound like they're for us. They're speaking on behalf of the little guy, when really they're supposed to do that. Okay? Because what it's going to do is, by them being the loud voices with the millions of subscribers, or them having political power or whatever, they're going to end up doing stuff in the name of what we stand for that's going to get laws passed that mess us all up. You know what I mean? There's a strategy to everything they do, okay? Or they're gonna make stuff happen by what they're saying or whatever. Here's an example. They're gonna talk about the Jews, and it's gonna end up having a law get passed that's against anti-Semitism. You see what I mean? It's cause and effect. It's action and reaction. It's order out of chaos. That's their motto. So they cause something to happen so that what they want ends up happening. That's how these people operate. So I'm here to wake up as many people as I can. I have no idea who I'll reach or how many people I'll reach, but God told me back in 2021 when I was getting gang stalked, and yes, I know that sounds crazy, but it happened, to make content exposing everything I know. And unfortunately, I know a lot. Not to brag or boast, but I know about a lot of stuff. And I need to use that knowledge and give it to others. Give it to others. It's the best gift I can give is the truth, right?
Well, back up to August, I was starting to speak out about Gaza. I couldn't deny my eyes. I couldn't deny the fact that there were innocent children starving and innocent families slaughtered and bombed, and just the tremendous amount of suffering that I witnessed with my own two eyes. So I started posting. I started talking about it, and I started, posting about what Pope Leo was saying about, the genocide in Gaza. I know he didn't use those words, but I'm using those words because it is a genocide, in fact, a Holocaust. And so I was posting about it, and I was just spreading awareness. Well, I got a call from the White House one day, and it was from the designated federal officer who serves at the White House. And she told me that some people in the White House were concerned about my posts about Gaza and Israel, and that I needed to stop posting about Zionism, and that I'm not allowed to be an anti-Zionist to be on this commission.
Oh, hell no. You ain't gonna tell me what I can or can't say. So that tells you everything you need to know about our government, y'all, about our politics. I mean, you've heard it, this is the third time now in this one video she's exposed how compromised our politicians are. My God. I just want to say, who cares what Pope Leo said? I don't trust the Pope, and I know that the Vatican is tied to Zionism. Oh yeah, wait till y'all should read that book by Michael Hoffman. He goes in on that. God forbid she posts about Zionism. I mean, I can't even use AI without it censoring me, y'all. I write a lot of my scripts, okay? Because I get censored when I try to use AI to help me. I get censored. And it even pulls up false information because it's scraping the internet for its info. So when it's scraping all these Jewish written, Zionist written articles and blogs and pages about trying to discredit what I exposed, that's what the AI says. So when you try to look something up that I say and you look it up on AI and it says, oh, that ain't true, that's an anti-Semitic trope, kiss my ass. That right there tells me it's true. Anytime someone tries to use that, okay? Because that don't mean nothing to me. I've done enough research to know there's something going on here. You can tell by the symbolism and you can tell by the patterns. And I got a friend who just can't get it through his head that this is true. Dude, yeah, this conspiracy's true, bro. It's true. You keep trying. I think he has some brainwashed dispensationalism stuff stuck in his head still. And that's why he wrestles with the Jewish conspiracy. Seriously, I can tell. So, yeah, man, it's dispensationalism's a straight up cult, y'all. It's a cult. And it needs to be exposed, and it needs to be dismantled. I know what I'm saying ain't popular. Good. Jesus wasn't popular. Okay, a lot of people hated Jesus. Yeah, he had a lot of people who loved him too, but a lot of the Pharisees and the false doctrine people and the false prophets and the false teachers, all the fake ones that the devil uses, didn't like him. So people with that spirit ain't gonna like me, because I just straight up say the truth over here. And if I'm wrong, I'll repent publicly and admit that I'm wrong. That's the kind of person I am. That's the kind of person God wants us to be, right? But I would just be alert and aware that she could be controlled opposition. I'm not saying she is, because I don't know that for sure. I don't have enough insight on her. I don't even know who the hell she is, really. Just from this, do I know who she is? But it wouldn't be surprising if she was. And I always keep my eye out for that. I truly believe Candace Owens is controlled opposition, and Tucker Carlson's controlled opposition, and the Jesuit kid, what the hell's his name? Fuentes. He's controlled opposition. I uploaded a video about that. This guy exposes that. So, you gotta look into these people, man. They're shady. They're shady. They know what they're doing. And it's pretty much like a CIA operation where they plant these controlled operatives in, and they had to infiltrate social media because no one goes to the mainstream news anymore. So they realized, especially in 2016 when the whole Pizzagate thing was being exposed, that's when they really cracked down. And that's literally, if you look it up, Charlie Kirk, he's another one that was controlled opposition with his stop death. That's what I got my channel for. Was all I said was his death. Here's evidence that Charlie Kirk didn't. I got banned for saying that. That's all I wasn't saying anything hateful, like making a how-to video on how to murder mom or anything. I got banned for just saying his death was fake. Okay, and then I always get censored or strikes when it comes to exposing the Jews. Even uploading an interview of a Jew himself saying stuff got me so that right there tells us something. The whole world, I mean, Israel's the great whore, the great harlot in Revelation. It is Israel. Jerusalem, okay? Jerusalem stands for Israel. Israel stands for Jerusalem. It's interconnected. And I'm just going to tell y'all real quick, I did a video on this. Dispensationalism is a false doctrine, and so is preterism, okay? I made a video on that. Y'all should check out.
But yeah, there was a witch hunt against me, Anna, and it's unfortunate because all I was doing was standing up for life. I'm pro-life, and I have every right to stand up for the innocent lives that were being taken in Gaza. And I wasn't going to deny my eyes. And then fast forward from there, Dan Patrick and Paula White called me shortly thereafter, around end of August, early September. And they said, Carrie, you really got to stop posting on social media. Your job here on this commission is protect the president.
Yeah.
What the hell does that mean? What is posting about Israel committing genocide against Palestinians? What does that have to do with the president? I mean, that makes absolutely no sense at all. But see, they know things we don't. Yep. It's just absolutely disgusting how intertwined our politicians are with a foreign nation. And it's deeper than that. It's the synagogue of Satan, Revelation 2 and 3:9. I mean, this is crazy, y'all. But the Bible talks about this. Straight up. Yep, and this is dispensationalism is why Jesus says, "Depart from me, I never knew you."
Yes. So there's different topics. So like there's religious liberty in education, there's religious liberty in healthcare, there's religious liberty in the military, there's religious liberty in dealing with anti-Semitism.
Why do they get their own category? Like y'all heard that, right? Like it was religious freedom this, religious freedom that. And then when it got to anti-Semitism, they got their own category. Like, wake up, people. They're literally on a pedestal while the rest of us are somewhere else. There's something to this.
And I guess they wanted to talk about Israel over 17 times. I'm like, is this a Israel commission? Is this a Zionist commission? What's going on here? This is so fake. This is so pretend that you care about religious liberty when it comes to Jewish Americans. Why didn't we hear from a child who was told that they can't wear the little, yarmulke or whatever it's called? Why weren't we told that some student on a college campus, was told that they can't pray or a Muslim or whatever? Like, why are we hearing about Israel over and over and over again? It's nauseating. It's getting so old. And I knew at this hearing, because they tried to do an intervention and all the backstory with them trying to fire me back in August, I knew that this was going to be a pivotal moment, a turning point for our country. And I had to speak up, especially for my Catholic faith, because what they said on that stage is that if you're not a Zionist, you're an anti-Semite. You're a hateful bigot. That was the statement that they made. And I will tell you, I reject that. That is hatred towards Catholicism. And I, as a Catholic, am deeply offended, and so many Catholics are. We are the furthest thing from filled with hate. We are the furthest thing from being bigots. All we want is to stand up for our religious freedom and reject Zionist supremacy, because we as Catholics, we don't believe that Israel today has anything to do with Israel of the Bible, okay?
Y'all see why I think there's a convert to Catholicism agenda here? I that's just my personal opinion, okay? It could just be, woohoo, but I think there's because not all Christians believe that the Israel is prophetic and Israel, the secular nation of Israel, has anything to do with the Bible. The real true Christians, we know the truth, and I'm just sick of being misrepresented pretty much because of these brainwashed dispensationalists. They're tarnishing the name of Christian pretty much. Not all of us are brainwashed dispensationalists, okay? There's the remnant. The remnant knows the truth. I'm gonna just call us remnant Christians, okay? The ones who know the truth. But I don't like how Catholics are being associated with the real true Christianity, because Catholicism is not the real true Christianity.
Christianity has been hijacked by evangelical Christian Zionists, and it's time we take Christianity back. They don't speak for me. I don't wave the Israeli flag, okay? I stand for freedom, and I stand for my religious freedom in this country to say whatever I want.
Amen, girl. Amen. That's how the majority of us Americans feel, okay? We feel the same exact way. We're just, like I said, I don't know if she's controlled opposition, but I totally agree with a lot of the things she said here.
That Zionism is not the same as Judaism, right?
Yes.
Discriminating against people for being Jewish or for having, Judaism as their faith. Yeah, that is wrong. But Zionism,
I reject that.
Yeah, Zionism is a political ideology. That's what it is. It's a political ideology.
No, they don't want you to believe that. They don't want you to believe that. They want you to equate Zionism, a political ideology, racist political ideology. Okay, I've done a lot of research since then.
Well, it looks like you need to do a little more research, Cupcake, because from Jews' own mouths, they say that Zionism and Judaism is pretty much intermixed. She mentioned racist ideology. Read the Talmud. They believe in Jewish supremacy, okay? Literally, they believe that non-Jews are goyim, that we don't have souls, that we're not redeemable, okay? It's okay to lie, cheat, and steal from goyim, which are non-Jews, okay? This is what their Talmud teaches them. And that is the religion of Judaism, which was created by the Pharisees who had Jesus crucified. How come ain't nobody talking about that? And that's the truth. That is 110% the truth. Read it for yourselves. It's been exposed. It's just people this is the real stuff that should be said. I agree with what she says, but she accept that part. I don't agree. I agree with the majority of what she says, but I don't agree with that. They keep, and you notice this, so there's an agenda here for us to think Judaism is not the same as Zionism, but that's a lie. Zionism is just the political arm of Judaism. That's literally it. And Jews themselves say that it's the same thing. The only difference is the Jews, the religious Jews that are against Zionism, quote unquote, they, it's so much deeper than you think. So first of all, they believe that until after their Messiah comes, who is the Antichrist, by the way, it's in the Bible, but when their Messiah comes, then it's okay to go to the Promised Land. That's the only issue they have. If their Messiah came right now, they would be okay with what's going on in Israel. I'm not saying all of them, each individual is different. There could be Jews that are against that. But I'm just saying there's a sect or a group that whoever follows their Talmud, that's what it says, okay? But then there's the Jews that believe, oh no, we're here now. And those are the Zionists. But it's still essentially the same thing. They believe they can have the Promised Land before their Messiah comes. That's the only difference between the Zionists and the Jews. But Jews themselves, I mean, come on, y'all. They're saying that it's the same thing. So I see this agenda, and I've heard her say it multiple times. Anna, the liberal chick, she's mentioned, there's a difference between Jews and Zionists. No, there's not. Okay? And even in their Talmud, it says that for the sake of keeping peace or deceiving a non-Jew, it's okay to lie. That's what their Talmud also says. All right? I'll try to put up images for that. But y'all need to realize, this is the Antichrist religion. It's not Satanism. It's not New Age. Christians keep trying to focus on all the obvious, deceptions. Well, the real deception is the fact that Christians are brainwashed dispensationalists. That's the real deception. The real deception is the fact that y'all don't realize Judaism is the Antichrist's religion. The Antichrist is going to be a Jew. That's their Messiah. Jesus even predicted this. He prophesied this when he said, I have come, but you reject me. One will come in his own name, and him you will receive.
No, I reject the fact that they think that they can just commit a genocide because they're God's chosen people. No, the Catholic Church actually teaches that the church is the new Israel. Okay? So if you're catechized well, that's what you know, and that's what you should be saying.
Besides which, I don't really understand how Christian Zionists reconcile their so-called pro-life stance while fully standing by Israel as they mass slaughter children in Gaza and further victimize, by the way, people in Lebanon, Syria, the West Bank. It goes on and on and on and on.
She's absolutely right. That makes no sense at all. So you're okay with children, well, it's actually men, women, and children being murdered and slaughtered by these godless, Christ-hating Jews, Israelis in Israel. You're okay with that, brainwashed dispensationalists, but you're gonna scream at a woman who wants to get an abortion. It makes no sense. At all. That's how you know they're part of a cult, and it's satanic. Because these brainwashed dispensationalists, aka evangelicals, aka mainstream Christianity, aka Christian Zionists, because it's all the same thing. Yeah, it makes no sense at all. And honestly, it's so satanic. It's do you not read your Bible? I've seen their comments too. They're just totally choosing to turn a blind eye to what Israel has done and is doing. But it's not only what they're doing now, or just a year or two ago, it's what they've been doing for years in Palestine. They have been slaughtering these people. They have just been nothing but wicked and evil if you read the history of it. Go research the history of Israel and Palestine. It is fucking horrible. And I totally condemn any Christian who supports Israel. You're a Zionist. You need to repent if you think that being a dispensationalist is okay, because what you're supporting is Antichrist. Honestly, Jesus would have been a Palestinian if he was born today, because you know what? Bethlehem is in Palestine. Most of you don't even know that. I mean, this is, and not to make it political or geopolitical, because I hate politics. I want nothing to do with it. I'm just making a point here, like how ignorant the church is. Okay, so there's some real Christians, there's some real Catholics, but I do believe the Catholics are in a false, counterfeit Christianity, and they need to come out of that. But so are some Christians. Some Christians, so-called followers of Jesus Christ, don't even read the Bible. Actually, the majority of Americans don't read the Bible. Only 10% of Americans read the Bible. That is sad. They don't even know what the hell is in it. They don't even know what it's about. They don't understand the new covenant. That is one of the most horrific things that I've learned about Christianity. They don't understand the new covenant, that most of them are in a cult. I feel like I'm in that movie, They Live. Literally, I put the glasses on and I see that all of these so-called Christians are not who they say they are. And what's sad is they don't even realize it.
But, when you talk about how you value human life, I'm so curious what your thoughts were after you had this exchange with my personal favorite, Shabbos Kestenbaum. And I'm being sarcastic, but nonetheless, this exchange, for whatever reason, no, I know exactly why, really got under my skin. So we're gonna play it for the audience, and then I wanna get your thoughts. What was going through your mind as he was saying this? Let's watch, and then I'll get your thoughts.
Since we've mentioned Israel a total of 17 times, are you willing to condemn what Israel has done in Gaza?
No, because I unilaterally reject that. It's not a genocide. The only genocide ever carried out was on October 7th when Hamas tried killing every man, woman, and child they could possibly find.
And what about the fact that Israel has killed over 186,000 Palestinians since 1948? And since October 7th, over 72,000. So shut up, little Jew boy.
Hang on, let me respond.
70,000 innocent civilians killed.
Let me respond. So first of all,
you won't condemn that.
And Carrie,
just on the record.
He's already. Excuse me.
Okay.
As chair of the committee,
I think it's important we have this discussion.
I agree. I'm happy to answer.
And Carrie,
I think we'd be great friends.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer.
Carrie, we have had the discussion. Good questions. Good answers. This is a commission on religious liberty. If there's another commission on this issue,
I don't know why we're talking about a foreign country. Answering them. I mean, if this topic is on anti-Semitism, I wanted to define what is anti-Semitism. And I brought up the IHRA definition, which is deeply concerning as a Christian, that certain parts of the Bible are considered anti-Semitic speech. And I read the verses in the Bible that says the Jews killed Jesus. So if someone says that, what are you going to do? Arrest them? Put them in jail? I mean, where does this lead to, you guys? This is very dangerous. This is serious.
This is exactly how the mark of the beast and tribulation is going to unfold because of rules and laws like this. The Jews did have Jesus killed. Okay, the Bible does say a lot of things about the Jews. It's the Christ rejecting Jews, the one with Satan's spirit. It's not all Jews. In fact, if a Jew becomes a Christian, they're a Christian. They're not a Jew anymore. You become reborn. That's why you're born again. I mean, it's like the spiritual aspect of Christianity goes way over people's heads, and they do not get it. So, I mean, it's just ridiculous. They don't have the Spirit living in them, so they can't understand the Bible. But that is, I'm glad she brought that up, because that is deeply, that right there is a sign of how the Antichrist, which is, it's going to be an Israeli or a Jew most likely, could be a Palestinian because they're the flesh and blood Judahites. And that could be super deceptive since, you know what I mean? Like, we are victimizing the Palestinians right now because of what they just went through. So I could see how it potentially could be a flesh and blood Judahite, which is a Palestinian. But it could also be an Israeli or a Jew. But it's going to be one of those three, okay? I'm thinking an Israeli or a Jew, but like I said, it wouldn't surprise me if the devil's so deceptive it's a Palestinian, and we're all rooting for them right now because of what they just went through, But yeah, so I'm glad she brought that up, man, because I read about that, and it's like, yep, I'm seeing it already. Like, they're gonna try to ban Bibles. They're gonna, and the liberals don't like us. The only reason why they're okay with us right now is because we're shaming people for what's going on in Palestine, and we're just both on board with when it comes to that. But we're literally the opposite when it comes to almost everything else, So it's like, yeah, I mean, it's tribulation's coming up, y'all, and we just got to have the faith to endure it to the end. And this is why I write blogs on how to survive tribulation. Essentially, it's just gaining the faith and having a close relationship with God, and God will be the one to sustain us. For real. But it's coming.
And you can also say that killing over 70,000 innocent Palestinians, starving them to death, and destroying the entire, Palestinian land there is a genocide, and it's wrong. And if you can't say the two, something's really wrong with you. And my point is that the other side, I requested 4 Jewish Americans to speak at this hearing. I requested 2 Palestinian Christian groups to speak at this hearing on anti-Semitism. Who better than Norm Finkelstein? I suggested him. He was denied. Oh, Dan Patrick didn't want him anywhere near this commission. He's the wrong type of Jewish American. He's not a Zionist Jew. That's the problem. So Miko Palad, he's a pro-Palestinian. He was denied. Rabbi Shapiro, he was denied. Oh, you want to label me an anti-Semite? No, you guys are anti-Semites because you don't want the full story. You just want the Zionists. That's all you want. Zionist supremacists.
What is the point of this commission?
It's a fraud. It's a fraud. It should be shut down. Every American should be calling for this religious liberty to be completely shut down. Because I was actually looking forward to meeting with the president in person in May and telling him what I feel about how Christians in Palestine, Muslims in Palestine, I mean, they are being slaughtered and nobody's doing anything about it, and we're funding this as Americans?
Yeah, it just disgusts me knowing that my taxes, anything I buy, the tax on it goes to killing people in Palestine for Israel. It supports Israel. It doesn't even support us or our own people. That's a bunch of bull. I mean, that most of us are really pissed about that, honestly, and against it. It's only the brainwashed dispensationalists and other Jews that support this, that support Zionism. Nobody else.
And yet me as a Catholic American, I'm not allowed to say that a genocide is wrong that we're funding? You want to bomb the only Catholic church in Gaza and claim that that's okay? And nobody in our government says a word about it?
That right there is the biggest clue to me that we're compromised by a bunch of Zionists. The fact that people in high places aren't saying anything about it, and it is obviously horrific, wicked, and evil. So evil that even the non-believers see that it's wicked and evil. I mean, come on.
How do so-called Christian Zionists in America see the footage, the photos, the way Christians are treated by Israel, and think that that's okay? You know, they get spit on. There's a Armenian community in Jerusalem. There's the Armenian Quarter. They get discriminated against. They get harassed by Israeli settlers all the time. Their area is now kind of under threat as Israel seeks to take it over. And so how do Christian Zionists, again, defend that? How do you defend that as a Christian? I don't understand.
They're brainwashed dispensationalists, meaning they have been brainwashed by the Schofield cult that the Jews are God's chosen people, even though they reject Christ and they had him crucified, and they're not even the real Judahites, the Palestinians are. So they've been brainwashed to really believe this, I guess. And then there's some that believe that, they acknowledge that a Christ-rejecting Jew can't go to heaven, but that a group of them are suddenly going to magically believe in Jesus in the end times, which is just stupid. That 144,000 ain't no Israelis. It's Muslims. It's Muslims that are Palestinian. Okay, it ain't no Israelis. All right. See, they totally twist the Bible. Totally. They twist everything. They have to suit their corrupted interpretation of the Bible. God doesn't work through time periods. He works through covenants. I mean, this is a wide-scale deception, y'all. It blew my mind when I found out about it. And it's like, this is why I expose it so much and I teach the truth so much, because it's super concerning that mainstream Christianity is this cult. And I don't know how your heart, mind, and soul could be like, well, this is okay because this is God's chosen people and we just back them up, and what the Palestinians are pushing out is propaganda and lies and figures the liberals side with them because the liberals are antichrist. It's like, what? They have no logic, I guess. I mean, I was conservative for a little bit, and I have a lot of conservative values. I would be considered conservative if I was into politics again. But even I see the truth. I mean, you gotta admit you could be wrong. Okay? You could be wrong. And most of the older folks are brainwashed with dispensationalism. But there's a movement happening. The Remnant. The Remnant are emerging. Those who want the truth. And that's what knock and you will find, or seek and you will find, knock and the door will be open for you means. It's talking about gaining knowledge of the truth. You have to have a revelation. And I had the revelation of the truth by reading the Bible. All you got to do is open up the New Testament and you will see that the church is the Israel of God. The church is anyone who believes in Jesus, and we are the chosen people of God. Why would God choose people who rejected his son? That makes no sense at all. And a bunch of Jews aren't going to magically just become Christian. That's a BS lie from the pit of hell. John Darby and Schofield, believe me, if they didn't repent and mean it, they're burning in hell right now.
Here's what it is. I've thought long and hard about this. They cannot defend it, but you know what? Their allegiance, and they worship money and power and fame more than they have a soul. They are not willing to speak out because they're owned. They're slaves. They're not free people. Every single person on that stage that day was too afraid to get involved in this discussion. If they really cared about religious freedom, all of them would have stood up and said, you know what? Carrie's right. She's not an anti-Semite for being against Zionism. Her Catholic theology doesn't support Zionism, a political new ideology that was established in 1948. Give me a break. If they really had courage, they would have done that, but they didn't, because they're too worried about their money and their access and, their big organizations. Yeah. That's what I'm disappointed in. I'm disappointed in all those people, all those well-established people. I'm just a little mom in California that dared to have the courage to stand up for my faith.
Yeah. Because those well-established guys, whether they're politicians or they're pastors, have been taking money from the Israeli lobby for decades.
Yes.
So they're literally bought by this foreign government, and then they tell their own parishioners, you are to shut up and obey this foreign government. But what's more troubling is what you said earlier about how people from the White House kept calling you and telling you not to criticize Israel even before this happened, right? Mm-hmm. So that means our government is compromised. And the reason I say that is, if our government has cooked up a religious liberty commission to take away religious liberty and force everyone to basically have allegiance to Israel, that means that's not our government.
Did you hear that? Maybe I need to play that back one more time.
Right? Mm-hmm. So that means our government is compromised. And the reason I say that is, if our government has cooked up a religious liberty commission to take away religious liberty and force everyone to basically have allegiance to Israel, that means that's not our government.
Okay, y'all, this goes back way, way, way back to the protocols of the elders of and the book, The Synagogue of Satan. I mean, there's so many books written about this that expose this. It's the Jewish conspiracy. And that's exactly what this is talking about. He just said it right there. Pretty much they created a freedom of religion thing to cover the fact that really it's about taking away religious freedoms to worship the synagogue of Satan. So, I mean...
I was watching a different conversation you had with Lila Rose, and you talked about your conversion from Protestant to Catholicism. And it's so obvious that you've done your due diligence and you care deeply about, the religious doctrine, and you understand it really well.
No, apparently she doesn't. Because if she did, let me change this lighting. If she did, she wouldn't be a Catholic. She would be a remnant Christian. That's what I'm gonna call us, y'all, those who know the truth. Remnant Christians, not Orthodox Christian, not freaking, maybe this is how all these denominations came about, even though they're all false besides the one that actually follows the Bible and what it says. They're like, oh, let's just slap on a different name before Christian, But I'm calling us the remnant Christians, because we're the Tribulation saints, okay? I need to make some merchandise that says that, hoodies and stuff. But that's what we are, because no, if she really did her research and her due diligence, she would know that Catholicism is a mix of paganism and Christianity, and it goes back to Constantine. Oh man, y'all. I got so much to expose. I got a lot of content that I need to work on. I just been busy with my autistic 3-year-old and moving, so. But I don't you see the agenda here? Like, I don't trust the Young Turks either. I don't trust any of them that have millions and millions of followers. You know what I mean? I believe they're controlled opposition for the left. They could be. Let me reframe that. I'm not sure if they are, but I think there's like a 70, 80, 90% chance that they could be. Because why does she keep asking these questions, like bringing up, do you see that sneakiness there where she's like, oh, okay, yeah, so the true doctrine is not Protestantism, it's Catholicism, and I'm glad you saw the truth. You know what I mean? Like, do you see how that could deceive someone who's a baby Christian or someone who doesn't read the Bible? You know what I mean? Like, which is a lot of Christians, unfortunately, at least in America, according to statistics. Like, that is concerning. And she also brought it up, before. It's just like, I pay attention to what these people talk about, and that's why I'm breaking this video down. I'm probably going to do this more often, where like I point out the subtle things that a lot of people don't notice. And a lot of, I don't know, I'm just being guided by God, y'all. I don't know what I'm doing.
So since I'm an atheist, I got one last question for you. You say that it's your Catholic belief to not be in favor of Zionism. So help me understand that. Why is that?
So no, that's a Christian belief, not a Catholic belief. But see, it looks bad. This is how deceptive the devil is, okay, y'all? Because it looks like the Christians are for Israel, the synagogue of Satan, and Zionism, okay? But really, and then it looks like the Catholics are against it. So the Catholics are looking like the good guys, when really they're a false religion, just like dispensationalism is a false interpretation of the Bible. This is why it's so important to read the word for yourself. You have to read the Bible for yourself, y'all. I can keep trying to make videos and putting scriptures out there the best I can, but that is the only way to know the truth. Don't even take my word for it. Read it for yourself. You'll see that I'm right. I mean, I will take on anyone who disagrees with me because I know I'm right. The Bible, it says what it says. I mean, I don't know how many times I could put the scriptures on here for people, but it's obvious that it's not, dispensationalism's a lie. And then if you look into Catholicism, oh my God, I could go on and on and on about that one. So do you see the agenda here? Like, look at the questions they're asking her. Okay, they say the truth in plain sight. And these people come off like they're podcasters when really they're I'm not saying they are, but I'm saying it's very possible that they're plants. They're like government or CIA plants to be controlled opposition. And they're going to have controlled opposition on both sides. But Homeboy says he's an atheist, and then they're pushing the Catholic agenda again. See, the devil wants people to be anything but a true, real Christian. He's even infiltrated the church, okay? That's why there's Catholicism, and there's all these different denominations, and they're all confused and screwed off. And it's like, I don't even affiliate with any denomination. All I know is I'm a remnant Christian. I read the Bible, and I know what it says.
So Christian Zionists, mostly evangelicals, believe that in order for the second coming of Christ to come, there needs to be the Dome of the Rock in Israel needs to be torn down, and that there needs to be a rebuilding of the temple, of the Jewish temple in Jerusalem. So what do you think that means? That means that they've been brainwashing Christians to hate Muslims because we need to cheer on that, Dome of the Rock being torn down, so that way they can build the third temple, usher in the second coming of Christ, and then they believe that Jesus is going to reign in Jerusalem for 1,000 years. I mean, you guys, this theological supremacy, our founding fathers are probably rolling in their graves right now. This is not what our founding fathers wanted. They didn't want, yes, our nation was built on Christian principles, obviously. But guess what? They did not want one church, one specific, denomination of Christianity to be ruling every state. And so I'm telling, and I don't want to get too much into the theological aspect of it, but that's the Christian Zionist perspective. And
dispensationalism,
so
right?
Yes, dispensationalism. It's the Ted Cruz. Those who bless Israel will be blessed. They think that the modern state of Israel, that is the biblical fulfillment prophecy, that, we all need to cheer that on, that was God's plan to bring them back to the land. No, we reject that as Catholics. We actually believe that we are the new Israel, that we are the new people of God. The old covenant is now fulfilled in the new through Christ. That, the promises made from the old are now fulfilled in the new, and that we are the new people of God. It's very simple.
Here's what I've learned, y'all. That there's truth and lies mixed together in all of this stuff. So if that's what the Catholics believe, that's true. That aspect is true. But there's things that they do that are very unbiblical, okay? And so this is why we need discernment, right? We need discernment, big time, because the devil has just mixed truth with lies, and people aren't going to know what's the truth and what's a false lie that'll lead them straight to hell if they don't have discernment.
And Jesus will come again. That's our belief, that he will come again to judge the living and the dead. And that's it.
Yeah.
That's it.
I grew up in the
hijack Christianity.
I grew up in the Apostolic Church, Armenian Apostolic Church, which is very similar to Catholicism. I've learned,
Mm-hmm.
we learned the same thing in Sunday school. So
yeah,
dispensationalism, like I learned about that a few years ago, and I was like, I've never heard of this in my life. Yeah.
And the crazy part about it is they think in the end, the Christian Zionists think in the end that 2/3 are going to be cut off. The Jews. So there's basically going to be a second Holocaust. This is what they believe, you guys. This is
crazy.
Theological insanity. And they've hijacked Christianity, and they do not represent us, real Catholics who've been around for 2,000 years. And this is not what the church has taught, and we reject Zionism.
And I reject false religions. I reject Zionism too. It's just the political arm of Judaism. you got Jews saying that it's the same thing. It's interconnected. So,
We don't agree that 1948 Israel has any biblical fulfillment, prophecy whatsoever. And I challenge any Catholic to challenge me on that.
Yeah, there's no question. It's not in the Bible. There's no United Nations in 1948. I mean, it's absurd. All of it is absurd. All the so-called predictions of the dispensationalists are not in the Bible either. It's invented. In fact, look, I don't know why they decided to write those particular prophecies. I don't know if Israel was clever enough to guide them in that direction. I don't know. But what I do know is, you just explained to us your deeply held religious beliefs. There's no one can argue about that. And they're saying you cannot think those things, because if you do, we're gonna label you an anti-Semite, and then consequences will flow from you being labeled an anti-Semite. So this commission is undoubtedly to take away religious liberty. And I keep asking why? Why in a country that is about 70% Christian is the president of the United States, with his voting base being largely Christian, saying you do not get to have your religious beliefs if it interferes with Israel's political agenda?
Again, it's because of dispensationalism. See, Judaism is about Jewish worship. They worship themselves. Dispensationalism is about Jewish worship, worshiping the Jews.
It's stunning in the year 2026 in America.
And not be punished for it. And let me just tell everybody, I'm not paid to be on this commission. I don't know if everybody knows this. This is volunteer. I am not paid. They pay for my flights and they pay for my hotel. And that's it. So I am serving the American people. I am the only one so far on this commission that is willing. Nobody's even spoken out about this. Why? Because they're too afraid. They're too afraid of the backlash. They don't want to be called an anti-Semite.
Totally.
They don't want to be called a bigot.
So being called an anti-Semite or a bigot is a badge of honor at this point.
Yeah. Oh, but they want to hide behind me. I have calls and texts. Keep doing what you're doing. I support you. There's people in the White House that support you, but they're too afraid. They call you the GOAT. Really? Well, why aren't you speaking out?
Amen, girl. See, this is what I've learned is it's not easy for people to speak out about very controversial things. And I get that. I struggled with codependency and not wanting to rock the boat, and growing up in a chaotic childhood where I was taught to basically just be quiet and shut up or you'll get yelled at. You know what I mean? So I understand a lot of this is ingrained from childhood and stuff like that. I get it. But the Bible teaches us that we need to be strong. We need to have faith, the faith to speak out against things that are evil and wicked. We should be calling things out as real remnant, true Christians. That's why I started my channel, was to expose the devil. And part of exposing the devil is calling this stuff out, calling things out that are not right. And yes, it's scary. It scares me, but to me, real courage is doing something even though you're afraid to do it. If you're afraid to do it, but you do it anyway, that's strength. That's courage right there. And it comes from Jesus. Jesus gives us the strength and the faith, and anything good, it comes from God. So, props to her. Amen, girl, you go. I don't trust her 100%, but that's a good thing. You really can't in this day and age. And you can't even trust me until you get to know me. And even then, who knows if I'm a plant or, you know what I mean? I get that. I totally understand that. But, you will know them by their fruits. And I don't know if it's possible that every single person in government or politics or whatever she is, I don't even know what she is, but any person that has links or ties to these elite people, I don't know if all of them are in on it or evil. I don't know that. I'm not God. I don't know everything. I don't know their heart. But I just throw it out there, the possibility of it, so that people won't be hurt when they find out that it is true, that they were controlled opposition or whatever. You know what I mean? So it won't be shocking to just keep that in the back of your mind as a possibility, because I just want people to be aware. I'm a watchwoman on the wall.
You want me to take the heat for all of you?
They do, and you know what? It takes a special kind of person, I would know, because I think I'm one of them, to continue speaking out, knowing that you're gonna face some serious consequences. I've had family members harassed, their jobs threatened. They're not even political figures or members of the media. So I know, the stakes here, and I really commend you for not just talking the talk, but walking the walk when it comes to your faith. And even more than that, the fact that you know the difference between right and wrong. Because right now we're living in a climate where people are being pressured to support something that we all know is wrong, and that's the mass slaughter of innocents. So thank you, Carrie.
Yeah, I'm gonna double down on that. And it's so when regular people email you or whatever it might be, send you a note and say, hey, thank you for fighting for us. That's beautiful, right? When people inside the government do it, well, number one, they're using you as a human shield, and that's weird, and it is cowardly. But number two, the more disturbing fact is, why are people inside the American government so afraid to speak out against Israel that they need a random mom to do it? Because if they do it, presumably they'll be fired. So is this our government or is it Israel's government?
It's in the book of Revelation. All the kings of the earth fornicated with the great harlot, which translates into all the kings of the earth, all the prime ministers, all the presidents fornicated, compromised with the great whore, the great harlot, which is Israel, the synagogue of Satan.
That's what I want to know. It's a great question. I want to know, who are we? What is going on? Why are we talking about Israel? I told them at the intervention meeting at 7:30, they had an intervention meeting before the hearing went on, and Dan Patrick was panicking, and Ben Carson was there and Paula White, and they were like, we don't know what Carrie's gonna say. And they sat me down and they're like, you better not, disrupt this meeting. And I'm like, well, are we gonna talk about Israel? Because if you talk about Israel, I'm gonna talk about Gaza. So if you don't talk about Israel, I won't talk about Gaza. But they couldn't do it. Because they've brainwashed people, Christians and many other groups, to worship Israel. And like I said, I would rather die. I would rather die than worship Israel.
Good for you, girl. Gotta give her props, man. Good for you for calling it out. See, I'm from California too, and she got that, I'll tell you what's up going on. I would rather die too than worship Israel. And so buckle up, girl. Get ready, because we're gonna end up getting our heads chopped off. We'll be in line for them Chanel labeled guillotines. I don't mean to laugh about it in that way, but I laugh because it's just, it's insanity, but I'm with her, but I just, I'm a little weary of things. I'm not trying to be paranoid. I'm just, with as crazy as this world is, I figure I throw out the things that I throw out, You gotta question everything.
A genocidal state that is committing genocide against innocent Palestinians.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's wrong, and I reject that. And it feels so free, you guys. I honestly feel so free. I'm no longer in chains.
Yes.
I'm no longer in chains. And you know what? I wasn't. I continue to post and I continue to tell them, and I have the emails to prove it. I have the text to prove it. I have all the receipts. I reached out to many people on the commission and I said, hey, they're trying to silence me for my religious beliefs. What do you think about this?
Yeah. No, Americans.
Quiet.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
Americans don't bow, and they're demanding that we bow, and we're not going to bow. And Carrie's right. The minute you liberate yourself and say, I'll say whatever I want, you're not gonna stop me from criticizing any foreign nation. I don't care if it's Israel or any other nation. And this has nothing to do with religion other than you taking away my rights. So look, I want the audience to understand that's what the face of courage looks like. So Carrie, we really, really appreciate you joining us and for fighting the good fight on behalf of all Americans.
Thank you, Carrie.
Thank you.